Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano.
And Jamie.
And what's today's mission?
You're a chef on a mission.
I am a chef on a mission. And what's today's mission?
Today's mission we are going to talk about is seafood.
Seafood. So there was a big AP, Associated Press, investigation article that came out in December 2015 about slave labor, child labor, unfair labor, forced labor in shrimp and other seafoods in Thailand, which we just did a video on that. Right. I just did a video. I don't think you were in that one. And so people were up in arms and shocked, and people are taking their seafood back to grocery stores, their shrimp back to grocery stores, and they're really fed up, and people are like outraged. Well, how can this happen? You know?
Because you've been buying it for years and you didn't care where it came from.
You're buying cheap food, people. That's the bottom line. You're buying cheap food. I was at a meeting last night, and they were talking about a historic preservation for our area, for a house, and they were talking about the Historical Society mentioned that they want to preserve this house, and there used to be slavery in this house. It used to house slaves, and one of the members of the audience got up and really complained at this public forum. How dare you mention slavery? This is the 21st century. How dare you do this? You know, and like went off. And I'm like, this is the same person that's eating food supported by slave labor.
Right.
This is the same, you know, it's just like people are just so blinded about what's happening in life and in real world reality. So, Asian shrimp, Thailand shrimp specifically, but I did this video and I listed all these sources of food because coffee, chocolate, sugar, you name it. There's something wrong with food production in parts of the world where they mistreat, abuse, force labor onto little boys, onto kids, onto family members.
It's happening all over the place.
It's all happening all over the place.
And the people who are out there in the grocery stores buying stuff are the ones that are supporting it.
Right.
Because they're not doing their research and they're not finding out where their food is coming from.
I had a conversation with somebody about this article because they were speaking to me about it. I said, that's only the tip of the icebergs of the problem. They go, what do you mean? I was like, the antibiotics, the chemicals, the mangroves, the habitat destruction,
and then we wonder
food.
why there's so many health issues out there.
Yeah. So this person said to me, they go, I had no idea of all this other stuff. I'm like, what do you think when you buy cheap food? When you go to the store and you buy cheap food?
You get what you pay for.
So here is
the disgusting truth about fish and shrimp from Asian farms.
Yes.
86% of our seafood is imported. That's a lot. 86%.
86% of our not all from Asia, but from all over. From Iceland, from Norway, from Antarctica.
I mean, that only
from
leaves
South
14%.
Exactly.
14% of the seafood is from our country.
And some of the seafood that we catch here gets shipped to Japan.
Right.
You know, some of our salmon and stuff, our sushi grade salmon and stuff like that gets shipped to Japan. So it's like we're not even, it's just, it's a sad situation.
So 86% of our seafood is imported, and about half of those imports are raised on factory farms called aquaculture. Asia is the #1 producer of these aquaculture products, dominating 89% of the industry, and most of our farmed fish imports come from there. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Association reports. Because of shortcuts some farmers are taking in these regions, these products aren't always safe, and FDA testing of them hasn't caught up. Here are some prime examples of the type of disgusting shortcuts that the Asian fish and shrimp farms do to save a few bucks, says the Bloomberg Market Report. Tilapia in China's fish markets are fed pig and goose manure, ew, even though it contains salmonella and makes the tilapia more susceptible to disease.
This is, you know, people are like, well, why would they ever do that? Because it's cheap protein. And
that's what they're putting into the tilapia, which then goes into you.
And this goes way beyond Asia because miscellaneous pig parts, pig blood meal and stuff like that is approved for salmon farming too. No matter where, you know, it's approved for salmon feed. So it's not only in Asia, people. There's a difference why when you go to the store and one salmon's $18 a pound or another salmon's $9 a pound. There is a difference. You get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Now, by no means am I advocating that we should all be eating seafood, because my personal opinion on seafood is that the oceans are dirty, the oceans are contaminated, and it's to a point where seafood is not, in my opinion, the best choice to be eating. So by no means am I advocating that we go out and we should be eating seafood all the time. There's consequences with eating all seafood to begin with. because of our environment and what we've done to our environment. And it's a sad, sad situation. But when you farm raise fish, certain farms do a fantastic job. So you might go on and find this Asian shrimp that might be certified.
But again, you have to do research.
You have to do research.
On the farms that the farms that you're getting your fish from.
The whole industry in general is tainted. There might be a couple small farms here and there that are doing a much better job or doing a clean job with the proper technology and things like that, and really care about what's going on. But typically, that's not the norm.
In Vietnam, farmed shrimp bound for the U.S. market are kept fresh with heaps of ice made from tap water that teems with pathogenic bacteria. Yummy.
So the Mekong Delta. The Mekong Delta is this huge river and delta system in Asia that people live and fish and farm fish on this river, but they live above the river. And what they do is
everything goes into the river, all their waste.
All their waste goes into the river. Their houses are perched above, and what they do is their sewage, their bathrooms, it just goes right down into the water. And then you see kids and people swimming down there and fishing down there.
And then they're taking that water and putting it's on top of the fish to keep it cold with ice.
The fish live in this. The fish live and breed in this, and it's mind-boggling. If you go onto YouTube and just search farm-raised fish or fish farming, fish raising fish in the Mekong Delta, you will be shocked beyond belief.
Wow. Bloomberg also notes that the same company, there's trash on the floor and flies crawl over baskets of processed shrimp stacked in an unchilled room. Like U.S. meat farmers, Asia's shrimp farmers rely heavily on antibiotics, many of which are banned for use in the United States. But we're importing this, people.
We're importing it. It's banned in the U.S.
You can't use it
but we're still
here.
consuming it.
Right. In May, ABC News bought 30 samples of imported farmed shrimp from across the country and had them tested for antibiotic traces. The result: 3 of the samples contained detectable levels of these dangerous antibiotics. According to a recent study by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, a quarter of the foodborne illness outbreaks caused by imported food from 2005 to 2010 involved seafood, more than any other food community.
Commodity.
Sorry, commodity.
So, this cheap Asian shrimp has flooded the market. As restaurateurs, when we go to food shows, that's mostly what's out there. Is cheap Asian shrimp, and put it as a very attractive price. Chefs can buy this shrimp already cooked, already peeled, already deveined, ready to go for shrimp cocktails. So it's very, very popular like that. They can buy it peeled and deveined, so they just have to saute it, the tail on. Typically it all comes peeled. And that's where part of the slave labor, the forced labor issue was because you had these little kids sitting there peeling shrimp all day long for 16 hours. And these people that have no life because they're sold to these companies, basically. These people are sold. And that's their life for years and years and years. And they have threats that they're threatened, and they feel like if they were trying to escape, they would be killed, or something would happen. And it's a very sad situation. But this is the reality of the shrimp industry. When you're buying shrimp, people, when you go to a restaurant, chances are that's the shrimp you're getting.
Yes.
Now, there are some shrimp farms in the U.S. in Newburgh, New York here. There's a new shrimp farm, an Eco Garden shrimp farm that I just found out about with check it out. The most sustainable shrimp to eat. Let's talk about the most, because people say, well, I want shrimp still.
So I just want to say, in this article, they also say that there's just such little testing on the shrimp, right? So you have to be super careful, and you have to do your research.
There's no way that the USDA, the FDA can test everything that's coming. There's no way. They test bits and samples of it here and there.
So they're just pulling probably randomly.
Right. And this goes far beyond shrimp. Tilapia, everything is loaded with. I mean, they mentioned tilapia is fed manure as well. And tilapia, farmers change the sex of the tilapia because they want male fish as opposed to female fish because there's a better conversion rate of the flesh. So they feed the fish while they're living methyl testosterone, of course, while they're living methyl testosterone, and that changes the sex of the fish while they're living and swimming, and So now you have all this methyl testosterone in the water running off into communities. You have these pregnant women that are drinking water laced with methyl testosterone.
Right. So they're not able to get pregnant.
Or if they do get pregnant,
there's problems with.
There could be. They're not saying that there's, but there could be. This is all things that people need to raise questions in their mind and saying, this is crazy. This is nonsense.
There's just a direct correlation of what you put in your body is what you're going to get out of your body.
Exactly. So it goes far beyond shrimp, seafood. So the best shrimps to eat.
Yes.
Main street shrimp. Those little tiny salad shrimp. Believe it or not, those are a very sustainable catch.
Really?
They're from the northeastern part of the United States. Very, very sustainable. Alaskan spot prawns in season in September, and they're actually trap caught. So you catch these prawns. They usually come head on now. Sometimes you get them head off. And they're Alaskan spot prawns, the closest thing you can get to the texture and taste of lobster. Fantastic. Gulf shrimp, I don't feel has ever been an option because...
So it's not a good option.
No, because of the way they destroy the habitat to harvest these shrimp. In the Forrest Gump movie, when they're harvesting shrimp, that's a complete dronimization. You scrape the bottom of the ocean and you pull up all the habitat and all these other fish. And there's reports that you can get 7 to 15 pounds of other fish per 1 pound of shrimp.
But that just gets wasted, right?
It gets wasted.
They don't even use it.
They're getting tumbled for miles in the bottom of the ocean. Sure, there's some boats that go out that do a much more sustainable catch, no habitat destruction, but that's not the norm.
Also has a lot of waste and stuff in it, right?
Pollution. You have the dead zone, which comes out of the Mississippi River from all the runoff, the agricultural runoff, basically the pig farms and cattle farms throughout the Midwest. They run off into the Mississippi River. All that
goes down
into the Gulf, and you have this dead zone that keeps growing and growing and growing. Far more disastrous than the BP oil spill ever, would be, and yet.
So Gulf shrimp.
People made a big deal about the BP oil spill, but yet they're not willing to make changes in their life to combat the dead zone. The dead zone is growing and growing on a yearly basis, much more massively.
So the dead zone is nothing can grow.
Nothing can grow there.
Okay.
The water is so screwed up that nothing can.
Polluted.
It's polluted that nothing can live in this water.
Okay.
It can't harbor life. It can't support life.
Right.
So.
Are there any other sustainable or good farms?
The west coast of Mexico came on really strong with more sustainable shrimp farming. Much more sustainable shrimp farming, no antibiotics, no chemicals. But again, it's that industry. They're going to have some bad farms, but you're going to have a lot better farms in that part of Mexico.
Okay.
In through Central America, it's hit or miss.
Okay.
You can find a great farm, you can find a bad farm. Ecuador is one of those countries that started off as a very sustainable model, and everything that they produce out of Ecuador has to meet certain government regulations because they saw the disasters that were happening in Asia, and they didn't want that to happen in Ecuador. So the government stepped in from day one and said, you have to do this, this, and this to be able to farm fish.
Great.
We have a great fish farm that we use down there that has no chemicals in the shrimp, because after the fact that you pack the shrimp, then you have to preserve it. So people these companies want water retention and they want color retention. So they pack them with all other kinds of chemicals. So we use actually 100% chemical-free shrimp, no hormones, no antibiotics,
from Ecuador.
From Ecuador, fantastic feed, and it's a great product. Is it the best product out there? Probably not. Are there better? Sure, but we've made a choice to say we've done a ton of research, and for what we need for a consistent product and availability all year long, this product is a fantastic product.
Right.
It's called the Right Choice Shrimp, and it's a really, really super clean product. So when spot prawns come in season in September, we try to get them, but it's not something you can serve all year long, spot prawns. And I don't know if people even have spot prawns all year long because you only catch it for a couple weeks and it has to be frozen.
Right.
So, seafood out of Asia basically is a disaster. Be extremely careful. Go on to fishchoice.com. Fishchoice.com rates each individual farm, and it will give profiles of the farm, and it will tell you what all the other seafood advocacy groups are rating that farm or that industry for. So you can see Friends of the Sea, Monterey Bay Aquarium, Marine Stewardship Council. You can see all
everything.
And there's a dozen or so of these advocacy groups that actually rate seafood. But Fish Choice rounds them all up on one website. So fishchoice.com is the best way to actually go on and pick out seafood.
Great.
If you live near a seafood area, like if you live in Long Island or something, if you live near a port, go talk to the guys catching the fish. Go ask questions. Go ask your seafood monger questions. You should be able to find I always recommend never buy seafood in a in a grocery store because they're price point conscious. They know that consumers will go from grocery store to save 50 cents a pound. So their name of the game is to buy the cheapest products. So you go to a reputable fishmonger, okay, and might be in a specialty seafood,
right.
especially supermarket might have a really good fish
Seafood,
program. But here's the key points when you buy seafood. You should always find out, they should always know when it was caught, where it was caught, and how it was caught. Okay? Because how it was caught can tell you a lot.
Okay.
And of course, where is all it's all about, you know. And there's nothing wrong with frozen seafood. If you can find high quality frozen seafood, especially in a health food store, then that's really an awesome ticket, is high quality frozen seafood, because they typically freeze it when they catch it.
Right on the ship.
Right on the ship, right when they land the boat, negative 80 degrees, cryogenically freeze it. You thought it has 0 microbes when you thought it's a super fresh product. It's fresher than fresh.
Absolutely.
So, seafood, buyer beware.
Beware and ask questions.
I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano.
And Jamie.
Thanks for watching. And you know what
Press
to do?
like, subscribe, ask any questions.
Share. You said
Have a
share.
great day. Share.